What's up, guys? We just wrapped up a 15-day E-FLO school, and in this video right here, it's a Doberman. So a lot of people always give me a hard time and they say, we never see you try anything besides Malinois and Dutch Shepherds and all this other stuff. So here's your video with a dog that's not a Malinois or a Dutch Shepherd. This video is super awesome because it shows a crazy transformation, all right? And so crazy transformation means that we're taking something the dog has been doing for a long period of time, and we're completely flipping it in so many areas. And we're giving the dog the ability to do things that it couldn't do in a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes. Like, that's how fast this is. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this video going. We're gonna pause and stop. I'm gonna show you some things. So let's go ahead and get this going right here. It's gonna start, yep, and he's about to have him out. All right, so we stop right here right away. I want you to see this sit. This is as good as the sit gets right now. I also want you to see that the dog has got his paw up off the ground for whatever reason. It don't matter to me. All I know is that he told the dog to out. The dog should go to an immediate sit. You're gonna see commonly that this is how this dog sits off the bite. The reason why this is because this dog has been conditioned, like a lot of other dogs, that in bite work, everything is forward. All right, we put them on lines, we put them on tables, we send them after decoys. No one really teaches dogs to bite going backwards. And what I mean by that is not get on the bite and go backwards. They're really good at doing that, which is pulling. But what I mean by having the dog go backwards and biting, all right, being sent for a bite. So everything about this dog has been told to this dog that when you're doing bite work, you need to always go forward to the decoy. Well, what that does is it makes it very difficult for handlers to get their dog to stay stationary and not creep forward or not break the positions they're in. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start this back up. I'm just pointing out the flaws to you so that you can see what we're fixing and how fast it gets fixed. Now, I'm just trying to be the best IGP helper I can be. I don't do IGP, I train dogs. I can pretty much train a dog for anything you want it to do. All right, I want you to see that on the bite, the dog is just pull, 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 and then he's also spinning out to my right side, which is pretty common. Dogs either spin out to the left or right. It's not very normal for the dog to stay forward on the bite unless somebody spent a lot of time conditioning that and training that, because it's not natural to the dog. Again, butt hovering right here. The sit is not all the way down, and I'll show you getting dirty right there. He's gonna ask me to move forward, and when I move forward, you'll see the dog move backwards, and the sit gets so much tighter. So you can see the dog, his sit here, compared to the last set that I showed you, way different. The dog's head position, way different. So this is what tells me this should be the expectation for this dog. All right, so I'm just doing what Eno tells me to do so I can get a feel on what Eno needs help with, and I'm watching Eno deal with it, and I'm seeing how he addresses what the problems are. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start again. All right, so now he's telling his dog to stay there, and then I move backwards. He's telling me to move backwards, and you see immediately the dog starts creeping forward. All right, so now he's gonna ask me to move back in, and the dog moves backwards. That's not a problem. And then he's going to ask me to move away, and you're gonna see the same thing. The dog's gonna creep forward. And this is pretty typical when I watch trainers fix problems. All right, so now what's happening is, before we even get into this, we're stopping right here. Before we get into this, I see this in heel all the time. If the dog goes too far forward in heel, they just walk backwards. And then when they walk backwards, the dogs move backwards, and then they walk forwards, and then the dog goes forward, and they walk backwards to fix the dog perching forward. And I don't think that a lot of people know, they're just repeating the mistake. So what I mean by that is, I can understand where the trainer thinks that walking backwards is telling the dog to move backwards. The problem is the dog's moving backwards with the handler. So the dog's really just staying in what they consider to be heel position. So it doesn't matter how many times you walk forward and backwards, unless you're having the dog separate from your position, meaning that you stay stationary and the dog move backwards for you, you're not telling the dog that they're in the wrong position to you. So walking forwards and backwards, even if you're telling the dog no, there's nothing there to tell the dog what it is that they're doing that you dislike, I guess you'd say, or telling them that they're wrong. So in this case, it's no different. I walk up to the Doberman, he moves backwards. I walk away, he moves forwards. I walk back up, he moves backwards. I walk away, he moves forwards. So the dog's just practicing. When I walk in, he walks backwards, and there's nothing telling Kyro that he needs to stay stationary. And again, this isn't just Eno. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, I would have done this. Everybody's got something they'd say that they would have done this. This is just an educational video to help people understand some mistakes they might be making, and then show people what they could do to fix a lot of things, okay? So now we're gonna get back into it, starting here. All right, he commands the bite when everything's right, because that's generally what we do. We pay the dog for doing the right behavior. That's what people are taught and told.
Tell him out.
I don't think about payment. I don't care about payment. The pulling and thrashing is right there, same thing. And then I want to stop right here again. Once I realize, like, okay, I see what he's doing. I'm like, you want him to stay, you have a problem with him coming forward, whatever it is. And he's like, yeah. I go, okay, I'm just going to work the dog. For me, it's about programming. And so what I mean by that is it has nothing to do with form of payment. So if you want the dog to do something, you have to run a sequence. If biting is part of the sequence, then it has to be included in there. I don't look at biting as a reward. So even if the dog's doing something it's not supposed to be doing, if the next order of operation is to bite, he's still going to bite. I don't say, well, I'm not going to have him bite because he's not doing this correctly. It's a sequence, and then you run the sequence, and the sequence gets tighter. So if I need the dog to move backwards, I don't care like what's going on. I just move him backwards, and then I'm teaching him that moving backwards, you're about to see here, we'll start back up. I'm going to teach him that moving backwards is how we get through the sequence. All right, so we're moving. You can see he doesn't want to go backwards. He's turning his head. He's turning his head because I'm moving into him because he won't move backwards. So we're running out of space between me and him. So I'm dropping the stick. I tell, give me the remote, and then I just start doing my thing and talking. All right, so now I already know what's going to happen. He comes in, he bites. He's already spinning out to the other side. I can't turn him that well because he's favoring that side. He flips back around the same side. And so you'll see I'm moving backwards, bite. All right, so it's super important to understand. I don't care about, that's why I'm having him out so quick. This isn't about telling him good boy. I'm also not telling him good boy. I'm just getting him used to, I need you to understand that the second you come off the bite, I want you to move away from me. All right, so now same thing again, I'm having trouble moving him backwards because he doesn't want to move backwards that well. That's why his face is curving because we're running out of room. All right, so now same thing again. We're going to start moving him backwards. He's starting to move backwards a little better now. Same thing again. We're going to move him backwards, but we can't. There we go. Now we're getting turns. All right, so you can see that in order for me to turn him that direction, I had to go really wide though too. I had to go all the way out. All right, so now we're going to out him again. He doesn't want to come off, and we're going to go backwards again. All right, so now same thing again. We're about to get into something else here too. So now the best part about this is I'm stopping here. The best part about this is I've been conditioning him to move away, all right? I've been conditioning him to move away all the time. But I've also been relaying information to him in other ways to help him understand what I want him to do once he's on the bite, all right? And it's so subtle, it's so quick, it's so fast, most people miss it, all right? And so now we're gonna press play and you're gonna see what a lot of people missed about me teaching the dog a brand new behavior that I wasn't even focused on a minute ago. And that is when you're on the bite, we no longer pull. We bite, we don't move forward to bite, and then we move forward once we're on the bite. So there's a difference. Moving forward to bite means we don't go forward to get to the bite, but once we're on the bite, we move forward. All right, so now we're getting turns in here again. Same thing, now stopped right here, dog sideways. You're gonna see what I'm about to do, all right? So we're gonna do something we haven't been able to do. Much tighter turn already, much tighter turn. Much more space between me and the dog's head and the rotations with the turn he couldn't do before. So already there's two things that's very strong on this dog. And at this point, I'm at 3:15 on the video. This video is obviously gonna be a lot longer. It's 3:15 on this video. And I'd say within a minute and a half, we've already modified two very difficult behaviors to modify. All right, so now you're gonna see the sits and the backing up, we're gonna get a lot tighter. All right, same thing with the driving into the bite. Now, the one thing I will say is that when you take a dog that's been biting and pulling for a long time, the chomping right there, it's very difficult for the dog to understand at first what to do with whatever material he's biting when he's going in a completely different direction. All right, so it's like once their mouth is full, it almost makes them want to spit something out. All right, so that's why people put back pressure on a dog. I understand why people use tethers, tables, all that stuff. They put back pressure on the dog to get the dog to stay on the bite. All right, so if back pressure on the dog gets the dog to stay on the bite, if you do the opposite of back pressure, it can cause the dog to let go. All right, well, when the dog's causing his own pressure forward or pushing the sleeve forward into his mouth, it's almost like he's kind of conflicted for a minute about what to do with all the material and the fact that there's no tension holding him on there because all the prior bite work he's had has been keeping him on there. All right, so I want you to think about that. Am I concerned about it? Not at all. Am I concerned about the grips? Not at all at this point. I'm not worried about it, because once he has a clear understanding of what I'm asking him for, by that time he'll be used to what I'm asking for, and his comfort level with going forward and crushing the sleeve is going to be 10 times better. That's why I don't care about it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start it back up. All right, space, the sitting right there, perfect. Right before we took off again, fantastic. Having him bite again, driving in again, same thing. And now I'm even doing it from heel position. I'm not even just doing it from front position. I'm teaching him, even in heel position, walking around with me, I want you moving forward. I'm not pulling him, he's pushing through me, up and over the tunnel, shoot over that thing. He flips around, same thing here too, out. Same thing, posture's a lot taller. Once he's off the outs, he's not trying to get dirty anymore. When I move backwards away from him, he's not creeping forward anymore. Now we're gonna go up and over this box again. You're seeing he just blasts through things now. We're on slick floor, which makes it even more difficult. I'm kind of running with him to try to trigger pulling up on him to trigger pulling, going back down, pushing in. I'm trying to amplify, no matter what, don't pull, all right? Moving away, same thing. Me moving away doesn't cause him to come forward anymore. Me commanding him does. These sits right here, same thing again, so we're gonna stop here. This sit right here is so much better already in like 2 minutes, 2.5. Let's just call it 3 minutes. I don't care. Let's call it 3 minutes. But again, this is what I love about this. So when I go to places and I watch people train and stuff like that, and I see the way that's going, trust me, there's a lot of people working their butt off. If people knew how easy this was to condition and train behaviors and modify things just by letting go of what they believe or what they know or what people are telling them, they would be able to modify things so fast. All right. So just do what you can to step outside what you've been told for a minute. Think about things. Ask yourself, if this causes this, what's the opposite of this? Well, if they tell me to do this and it creates a problem here, why would I do that in this area as a solution, right? So we'll get into another video about that. I get off on tangents because my mind goes 1,000 miles an hour. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started again. We got this nice sit right here, all right? And starting, and then I'm agitating now. So now I'm agitating. All right, so I'm shaking my arm around, showing that even with me shaking my arm around, so now we've changed the direction in which he goes for bites. So now the dog isn't perching forward to get a bite. We've changed the direction, and we'll stop right here, that's the end of it. We've changed the direction and when the dog's on the bite, where he goes. We've even added in a level of difficulty to try to trigger the old behavior of pulling and thrashing and spinning out. We have cleaned up the outs. We've even gotten the dog to go forward, up and over objects where most dogs would put on the brakes and all that stuff. And we really tightened up his turns, which is going to help everything, all right? Getting a dog to be able to pivot and turn and stay fluid with the decoy, it gives the dog the position of power to give the best bite possible. So turns are huge, and I cannot tell you how many dogs I work with that cannot turn, that just can't turn. And if people knew the value of being able to pivot and turn, they would make sure every dog they had could pivot and turn. So, but anyways, I love showing videos like this. I love teaching people stuff, especially for people who are struggling for a long period of time and having trouble, difficulty getting the dog to change behavior. So interested in our training programs, check out our website, mydogtrainer.com. Drop questions below. I'll do the best I can answer. Please understand, my students will tell you, it's very hard to have a conversation about something people don't understand. And I know that people look at dog training as dog training. That's because generally people all pretty much train dogs the same way. Our system is so complete opposite and upside down and backwards compared to other people's systems that I can't really have conversations with people until they learn about what it is that we do a little bit. It's a language. So if you don't understand someone's language, it's hard for you to have a conversation. My language is different from your language. In these videos, I think that when I put these videos up, I think that kind of shows that. So I will do the best I can. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next video. And there's your video,